Even though he is older than Bruce Springsteen and Coldplay, Andre Rieu still has more energy than them. He continues to make more money at concerts than them. Over 700 events of his live shows have brought in an amazing $300 million USD. The master of classical music has built an empire that not many people could have dreamed. His amazing journey began in 1987 with a small group of only 14 musicians. He now leads the 75-member world's biggest private orchestra, which shows how good a businessman he is. During his career, the great musician has made 50 records and sold more than 40 million copies. He made classical music famous all over the world. Every year, 60,000 people from all over the world come to his Christmas performances. His huge popularity has helped him make a huge fortune. The story of Virtuoso's rise to fame, his plans to leave his family a lot of money, and his classical music legacy has become just as interesting as his music itself. Andre Rieu makes a huge amount of money in music. Andre Rieu went from playing in a salon orchestra to becoming Billboard's highest-grossing classical act, which shows how smart he is as a businessman and how talented he is as a musician. Due to his love of classical music, the 75-year-old Dutch violinist has built a multi-million-dollar company that keeps growing even though the business is facing problems. The Maastricht Salon Orchestra, Rieu's first group, was formed in 1978 and was the start of his business. The Johann Strauss Orchestra was formed in 1987, making his dream come true. The group started with 12 people and they practiced for 6 months before their first show on January 1, 1988. Over the years, the group grew a lot. Before 2008, there were 43 artists in it. From 2008 to 2020, there were 50 to 60. In 1995, during an international football match in Amsterdam, something happened that changed the game. During break, Rieu bought 60 seconds of live TV time to play Shostakovich's Waltz No. 2. He remembered, "Ajax did me a huge favor and scored just before halftime. I sold 200,000 CDs the following week." There was a violinist who wasn't well known before this time. His fame grew quickly after he went on TV shows and tours in Europe. In 1996, the media called him the modern king of waltz, which became a trademark that would stay with him for decades. It's a goldmine for the Johann Strauss Orchestra. Rieu is different from other classical artists because he has had such huge success in the music business. The band he leads has been on Billboard's top 25 tours list with Bruce Springsteen and Justin Bieber for almost 20 years. With 550 million USD in overall earnings, he became Billboard's highest-grossing classical artist in history in 2018. "I need USD 1 million a month just to pay everyone, and that's not even counting the tours. When we go on tour, it's even more," Rieu told. "Around 110 people are paid by me and another 100 work for me as freelancers. It's a big family. Even with these huge prices, the business is still profitable because it has many ways to make money. For decades, the classical music business has had a hard time with less demand, higher prices, and smaller profits. By bringing together classical music and pop shows, Rieu opened up new doors. He didn't follow the rules of classical music. Instead, he made his own way. You know how most people stay away from concert halls with classical music because of the serious mood you can feel there? It's just not there with us. His shows turned into happy celebrations where people could sway, hum along, and clap, which isn't usually allowed in classical music setting. It became more than just shows for his business. He set up his own recording studio, production company, events business, and workshops where he made unique costumes and sets for plays. His musicians get extra care, like a professional chef, a fitness teacher, Mercedes-Benz buses that are made just for them, and even a private kindergarten for parents. Some classical music critics might call Rieu's shows schmaltzy, but he loves it that way. "It's my goal to make a Gesamtkunstwerk where music, dance, and outfits all come together to make a magical evening. This idea has worked out really well. Traditional orchestras depend on grants, donations, or help from institutions. Rieu's business, on the other hand, can stand on its own. The tickets are the most important part. The DVD is very important, though. Being financially independent helped him get through some tough times, like when an expensive Castle copy stage set almost put him out of business in 2008. Making these cutting-edge business moves helped Rieu reach his goal. to make all classical music open to everyone, and his huge wealth shows how well this mission worked. Rieu's house becomes the most valuable thing he owns. In the middle of Maastricht sits a beautiful fortress from the 1600s. This house has come to represent André Rieu's huge success. The master of classical music didn't just buy a fancy house like other famous people do. He got a piece of history that is worth more and more over time. Rieu didn't plan to invest in the castle Huys de Torrents, which is home to the small towers, at first. Our accountant called while we were on vacation in the south of France to tell us that the front side was for sale. I remember Marjorie Rieu saying, "We weren't really looking for it, but then again, the chance doesn't come along very often." André had a connection to the land from his childhood. As a child, he took piano classes there, even though he didn't like his teacher, and the castle was dark, damp, and sad at the time. He became interested in castles early on because he loved Tintin books, even though he had some bad feelings about them at the time. When I was a kid, I read Tintin. In one of the books, he and Professor Calculus bought a house and pitched an idea. Rieu said, "I remember thinking I wanted to live there." André's childhood dream came true on September 11, 1999, when he paid 1.9 million euros, 1,458,459 euros for the house. At that time, the ancient building was broken up into several parts. That was a strange event. So when we got the front, we hoped that one day we could return the whole castle to how it looked before, Marjorie said. In the end, Rieu bought all three parts separately. The castle has a long past. The oldest part of the building is the kitchen, which was built in 1452. The rest of the building was mostly built in 1526. The famous French musketeer D'Artagnan is said to have had his last breakfast in the castle before dying at Maastricht's walls during the siege in 1673. This is the kind of thing I love about it. The changes to the castle were made without the help of skilled designers. Reports say that André created most of it himself. The artist made the rooms more personal by adding gold, leaf accents, making them brighter, and filling them with one-of-a-kind furniture he bought all over Europe. On the grounds, André built a beautiful orangery in the French style. It is now full of tropical birds and plants. "I wanted a garden full of butterflies, and that's what I have," Rieu said. Other people buy Ferraris. The house is even more valuable because it is part of Rieu's larger real estate portfolio. The 72-year-old violinist has made his own little neighborhood in Maastricht with 34 properties, including 6 buildings near the castle and a lot of land. Taking good care of this old prize costs a lot. The soft stone structure needs to be fixed up all the time. As soon as I finish fixing one half, I have to start fixing the other half again, Rieu said. Major repairs were done in 2015 to fix a lot of damage to the roof and walls caused by the stone wearing away. This is not where André lives in the castle. He likes his 150-year-old house on a nearby street better, but this land is still the most valuable thing he owns and a beautiful display for his music business. In fact, Rieu says, "I use the castle to promote my concerts. People from the United States come to talk to the King of the Waltz, who lives in his own house. Appraisers are amazed by his collection of Stradivarius violins. André Rieu's wealth comes from more than just his house and concerts. Right under his chin are his most valuable possessions. The musician owns some very rare string instruments that are used for music and has multi-million-dollar investments that keep getting more valuable. The Dutch maestro plays a violin that has a very interesting past. He played a Stradivarius violin from 1667 for a long time. This instrument was made by Antonio Stradivari when he was just starting out on his famous career. There is a deep link between Rieu and this early period instrument. It was made by a guy while he was engaged to his future wife in 1667, and I used to play on it. He put some of the love he had for her into that instrument. That's audible with this first Stradivarius. Rieu joined a small group of players who were very good. I had a hard time getting such a rare instrument. You should really get into violin playing. It's not that far away. Rieu said that only 3 or 4 people in the whole world decide that. A lot of people quickly heard that he was looking for a Stradivarius. They came like bees to honey. It wasn't possible. I did nothing. With violins in hand, they came from across the world and said, "Come play." How indeed. André Rieu gathered a lot of valuable and rare instruments. Rieu's collection grew as he became more famous. In the last few years, he bought an even more rare 1732 Stradivarius fiddle. Because of this change, news stories sometimes list different dates for when he held both instruments. The prices of these instruments are out of this world. A standard Stradivarius is worth at least a few million euros. The most expensive ones are sold for huge amounts of money. The Lady Blunt Stradivarius, which was the most expensive violin in the world, was sold for more than 15 million euros. The value goes far beyond the skill of the artist. Rieu puts it in the framework of history. When I do some math, I see that the trees that were used to make the wood for the Stradivarius instruments had to be planted before Columbus found the New World. Collectors and artists are still interested in this history. When Rieu talks about his violin, he does so with a lot of feeling and often by making unique comparisons. A violin is a lot like a woman. She's one of a kind. There are lots of women